has discovered there is no better place to build, hire, and grow than right here in the United States. America is open for business more than it has ever been open for business.
Welcome back to America Talks Live. Now, that was President Trump in Wisconsin saying America was open for business after Foxconn opened that new 20 million square foot facility in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was a huge facility, $10 billion facility.
$10 billion, with a $131 billion company, so I assume
yeah.
They have a little extra cash flying around.
A little bit. All right, that's where we want to bring in our next guest. We have political commentator and Newsmax contributor Clarence McKee. He's held many positions in the Reagan campaigns and administrations and a regular here on America Talks Live. Always good to see you.
It's always good to be here. How are you doing on this Friday?
Doing great.
Good.
Doing great. So first off, just your reaction to that facility, because that was kind of creating some strife between Democrats and Republicans in Wisconsin. And the interesting thing to note, too, we brought it to our viewers live yesterday, is that Harley-Davidson is actually based in Wisconsin, not too far away from where Foxconn was having its groundbreaking ceremony. So just your take on this. I think a lot of people would see this as a good thing.
Yeah,
and a good sign that our economy is doing better. But apparently that's not the case. There are some Democrats who oppose this construction.
Listen, Democrats are always going to oppose anything that Donald Trump touches. You know, if Donald Trump had anything to do with the sun coming up, they would oppose it. This deal in Foxconn was phenomenal. Great deal, billions of dollars, many jobs. Harley-Davidson, well, let's see what happens with that. You know, it's not a totally done deal yet, but the way this economy is rolling, the people of Wisconsin are not really that upset, I don't think, with the so-called tariff issue. And by the way, on the tariffs that everyone's worried about, the issue is not free trade so much as it is fair trade. And the president's trying to bring jobs and get all of our, like, steel workers back to work. So I think what he's doing in Wisconsin, what he's going to say today with the tax cuts, all great for this economy. People are going to, you know that feeling, John, when you can jingle change in your pocket?
Yep.
Well, a lot of people are starting to feel that jingle since these tax cuts. And there's one prediction that by the end of July, IGNV, Gross National Product, is going to be somewhere around, or the growth, 4%. Some are even saying 5%. That's historic. People vote with their pocketbooks.
That's right.
Yeah.
Democrats will do everything they can to take their minds off of this. But
yeah, that's so true, Clarence. Yeah. And the Atlanta Fed is giving us very aggressive estimates, 4.5, 4.8.
Yes, exactly.
Right? But you know, there's something that really bothers me about the Democrats' messaging. So what they do is you see Foxconn come in, $132 billion, $31 billion company, $10 billion investment. Well, you know, they speculated 40,000 jobs. It's only 15,000. But here's what they forget. How many water coolers are there that water companies are going to be delivering to? How many more people are going to have to be hired by the local utilities to sustain that factory? Car dealerships now selling cars, gas stations, pumping gas for those 15,000 commuters. The trickle-down economic effects of this. Food deliveries. I mean, just think of uniform companies. It's mind-blowing how many sectors are going to grow because of a 20 million square foot plant. The Democrats act like that doesn't exist. Like all of those numbers are phantom numbers.
It's like the old Jack Kemp Reagan theory and philosophy. A rising tide lifts all boats. Whether you're a canoe or a huge yacht, you're going to be lifted when the tide goes up. That's what this economy is about. That's what's going on with the president's economic picture, which Democrats don't want to hear. You know, as Bill Maher said, that's what Democrats want. They want a recession. They want people out of work. So they think they can have the benefit. This economy is feeding what's going to be a red wave. Jobs talk. What do we have? The lowest. We have more people who are. We have more people working that are trying to seek jobs now, I believe.
Right.
Which is unheard of. We're down to 3.9 unemployment. Huge, phenomenal. But Democrats don't like that.
Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, we ran a survey the other day that said, you know, even 30% of Democrats admit they like the direction the economy is going in. The politicians may not like it.
That number terrifies them.
That number,
30%
that we have more jobs than we have people to actually fill them. Yes, yes.
I've heard people tell me that wait until the midterms or even 2020, wait for the 2020, Trump's going to get so many more black votes than he had before. is going to be phenomenal. You know, you don't have anybody in the Black Caucus, no black leaders, or Hispanic leaders, really, or the Hispanic Caucus, talking about the lowest, basically ever, black and Hispanic unemployment.
Yep.
Clarence,
They don't talk about that. But the blacks getting the jobs do, and the Hispanics getting the jobs talk about it. They can't talk about it at the local bar or pool room or even at a family table because of the politics. But in their heart, they know he's right.
Well, Clarence, we're gonna need you to stick around because we need to go to a commercial break. And again, we're still waiting for President Trump. He's going to be speaking live at the White House, basically celebrating his tax reform.
Exactly.
I would, if I were him.
Yeah. We'll be right back. You're watching America Talks Live. And a reminder, you can always weigh in on the conversation. Here is that number to call, 1-877-NEWSMAX. We'll be right back. That's where we want to bring in our guest again, joining us once again, political commentator, Newsmax contributor Clarence McKee.
Hello.
Again, hey, thank you for sticking around.
Thanks, Clarence.
So I just wanted to get you to kind of weigh in on what you heard the president say there.
Well, first of all, this was the icing on the cake this week. He's had one heck of a week. You know, the Supreme Court and travel ban, the case with the labor unions, and then Kennedy giving him another chance to appoint somebody to the Supreme Court. And then to cap all that off by an amazing announcement about how the economy is benefiting people. And I just hope that the Republican National Committee and some of these political campaign committees will take those videos of those business owners and the lady from Jacksonville and get those out to the American public and talk about what he talked about. All the great things on expensing for small businesses, great things in the jobs. The problem with the Republicans is we don't get the message out. We let the Schumer speak about us and we don't talk about what we're doing. So I hope this is the way to move ahead in the next 6 months on all the good things that's happened this week. But the big thing, as we talked about earlier, the change jingling in your pocket, the jobs and the money and jobs and economy. That's what counts.
So true, Clarence. Also with us is Ned Ryan. Ned is founder of American Majority and the CEO of Voter Gravity. He's also a writer for former President George W. Bush. Ned, you heard the president. You also heard Clarence McKee, my friend. What do you think? I mean, this is big going into the midterms in 2020, but is Clarence right that we still need to message this even better?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this has been one of my biggest arguments just even through American Majority. As we go out and we train people to run for office, you've got to become better messengers. You've got to tell better stories. You've got to be able to appeal, have emotional appeal to the heart that are backed up by facts. And I think that was the great thing that Trump did today is just show very personal stories of people's lives that are impacted because of the tax cuts and the economy and rolling back the regulatory state and how that's changed all the dynamics and really put a face to that, because sometimes you just get lost in all the numbers. You know, 6 million workers have gotten bonuses since the tax cut. We've had hundreds of billions of dollars repatriated in the first quarter of 2018. You start to lose because there's such all these numbers, but you put a face to that and you understand, times that by 1,000, times it by 6 million. And all of a sudden you understand this is really impacting people's lives despite Nancy Pelosi saying it's just crumbs, despite all the Democrats going after it. This is starting to have a real impact on people's lives. And the best part about it, John, is this. People have huge optimism about the economy. They have hope. They're looking forward to the future. They think that there's real opportunities moving forward. And I think that's a big part of it because, I mean, not too long ago we were told, oh, only 1.5, 2% GDP growth. That's the new norm. Now we're looking at potentially hitting 4% GDP in the second quarter. And I really think the thing that's amazing, because I've been listening to some of these Democrats just in the last day or two saying, well, this is really just Trump enjoying all the benefits of what Obama set in motion. I'm sorry. I didn't see 6 million workers getting bonuses out of the Obama economy. And so it's pretty amazing to me to watch all this. And you're right, though, in the midterms, this has completely changed the political dynamic for Republicans coming into the midterm because a lot of people are giving, about 70% of the people are giving Trump credit for this. And guess what one of the top issues is for the midterms? It's the economy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, to about 38%, Ned. So my next question is really for both of you. Ned, I'll start with you. This is a very common sense message, like you both said.
Exactly.
I agree, right? This isn't about the Atlanta Fed projecting 4.8 GDP. It gets a little wonky. This is a guy, a Navy veteran, saying, I can take my family on vacation for the first time in 5 years. Right. Something every American can relate to. I don't care about your education level, your race, your religion, your orientation, your socioeconomic falling. Why are the Democrats missing this? I'm glad they are, but why do you think the Democrats are missing this? Ned, first with you, then Clarence.
Why are they missing it? Because I think that they've left behind the working class. They've left behind the middle American, because we saw that take place in the 2016 elections, where the working class, the middle class, really felt they'd been abandoned by Democrats, because for all the issues that Democrats were pushing, their pet projects, more government, all of these things, and the working class felt abandoned. I think it's because the Democrats have wrong priorities. They have placed their priorities on really a far-left socialist agenda, and they've abandoned these people. And Trump, I mean, the beautiful thing about what Trump came and did and really showed the American people, it is common sense. And I love when he talks about Americanism, because it's not republicanism, it's not democratism, it's not corporatism,
right.
It's Americanism. And it's how do you prioritize the American people? And that's what his point has been about everything that he's done to this point, is saying, I am going to prioritize the American people. I'm going to make their lives better. I'm going to increase jobs, wages, all these things. I'm also going to think about what their future security looks like. And the Democrats, I think it's becoming even more and more apparent, they've completely lost focus on the American people. You can even see that in some of the immigration debate. And Donald Trump's saying, hey, I'm the American president. Guess what my number one priority is? It's the American people. It's not the American people. I have to say this. It's not the priority for the Democrat Party right now.
No, it certainly isn't. Clarence, what do you say, especially as it relates to black and Hispanic voters who are seeing record low unemployment?
That's why I want them to get that message out in the video of that lady from Jacksonville. That's the real story with blacks and Hispanics, and that will resonate. And to your question as to what's wrong with the Democrats, they are tone deaf. Hillary Clinton lost because they were tone deaf. They're tone deaf now. All they listen to in the leadership are Hollywood and the talk show hosts. And we saw in Brooklyn the other night what can happen when you don't listen to the people. I'm not saying that the socialists are going to take over, but at least I'll bet a lot of those people in Brooklyn who voted against Crowley would vote for Donald Trump. The Democratic Party is so much heads in the sand that they will suffocate. And they're going to suffocate starting in November. They don't listen. And Schumer is just a joke, you know? It's a shame. I used to work for a guy named Jacob Javits, and the people in the Senate from the state of New York now, Gillibrand, it's a disgrace, and we have the leadership. And that's why we're going to get 5 to 6 more United States senators, and that's why you're going to get some Democrats to vote for the next Supreme Court appointment.
But, John, if I could, just following up on those comments, I don't think it's necessarily they've got their heads in the sand. I think they are being compelled by the far left. The Democrat Party has been captured by the far left. You look at Tom Steyer, you look at George Soros, the money, you look at the resistance, you look at the grassroots. It's not only, again, it is a 10-year. At the same time, they're being compelled to go to the far left because the power, the money, the grassroots activity, it's all far left.
Yeah, and trying to get rid of the ICE, things like that. It's horrible.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask both of you about that. I know Miranda had a couple of questions
No,
for
it's
you.
okay. Go ahead.
But let's look at this election in New York in CD 14. You've got this woman. She's an avowed Democratic socialist. I think her name is, I always get it wrong, but it's Ocasio-Cortez.
Right.
I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
got it.
I kept calling her Ocasio-Campos, my mistake. But you've got a woman now. She's Democratic Socialist
From your
of
hood.
America. I grew up in Queens. I grew up closer to the Long Island border, but a neighborhood I knew very, very well.
Right.
Was at NYPD in the Bronx, know the area. So her district covers northern Queens and the Bronx. The district looks much different than it did when I grew up there. A lot of people from that. I would say 83%. The district, last numbers I checked, most immigrant and English as second language. So she mirrored the electorate in that area. But is that what the Democratic Party is going to look like across the country, regardless of district? Or are we still going to see the blue dog Democrats in certain areas? Will DNC leadership allow that? Clarence, I'll go to you first.
You're going to see blue dog Democrats as we saw back in the election last year. But here's what's going on, my friend. If you take these minority districts like we had in New York, and you put a left-wing Hispanic against a white Democrat, and I'm telling you, the Maxine Walters of the world, these black Democrats and growingly greater Hispanic districts, they're going to be threatened, and they're going to be losing. So when you get to these urban centers, socialists may have a shot, but when you get out into the real part, I'm not going to say the real country, when you get into places, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, blue dog Democrats are there. They're going to be like blacks and Hispanics who like Trump. They're not going to tell their neighbors, but they're going to vote for the United States of America and capitalism and the 401k that cop was talking about.
I think, John, I think you're going to see blue dog Democrats as elected officials become diminished. I think you're going to see fewer and fewer of them, at least, I think, for the next few election cycles, because what you're looking at is a lot of these people on the left are saying the problem with the Democrat Party is we're too closely aligned. We didn't give people a really bright choice between who we are and who they are, which, again, I think is a massively fundamental mistake. But there is a real power struggle going on right now inside the Democrat Party. You've seen this not only obviously up in Queens, but you're seeing it across other primaries in which very hard left progressives are going up against more of the mainline kind of center-right, sort of moderate Democrats. There have been some wins, there have been some losses, but I think you're going to see it accelerate. I actually think the Democrat Party, you're seeing the masquerade drop. I think I saw 44% of millennials think socialism is okay.
Oh, yes.
Right.
You see a certain percentage. I'm saying I saw that this was the most staggering statistic I just saw, John. I think it was about a quarter, 25% of millennials thought Joseph Stalin should be considered a hero.
I saw that. But Ned, let me ask you one last question on this.
NEA.
One last question. Is there going to be a fracturing of the Democratic Party? Because Tom Perez and Keith Ellison have nothing in common with blue dog Democrats. 30 seconds to each of you. Is there going to be a fracturing or not? Ned, you go first.
Oh, yes, definitely. Right down the middle. It's going to be fun to watch when Nancy Pelosi tries to compare herself to the lady who won in New York the other day. They're in bad shape, and you can see it. They call it Trump hysteria. Is going to bury him.
I think they're on the path towards becoming the coastal regional party, John. I think that the national leadership cannot abide by the blue dogs. They are compelled, again, by that far left donor base and resistance to go further left. I think you are going to see a fracturing. I think you'll see more and more the socialist leftists being elected, and I think you see a lot of that migration of the actual electorate blue dogs going towards Trump, because, again, there were about 6 million people in the 2016 elections that had voted at least once, sometimes twice for Obama, that voted for Trump. I think you'll continue to see those trends going in our direction because, again, Trump is speaking to issues. I tell people this. This is the last thought. I tell people this. At the end of the day, most of the American working class is about pocketbook issues. And whoever is going to solve those issues for them, whether it's wages, whether it's jobs, whether it's being able to pay mortgages, put food on the table, that's who they're going to vote for, regardless of the other issues when push comes to shove. And the only guy talking about that, the only guy with solutions for that is Donald Trump. And I think that's why you're going to see more of this working class blue dog Democrat come towards Trump, even more so in 2020 than it was in 2016.
And Democrats' hate speech and vitriol is not going to cut it at all. They're going to lose with that, if not incite violence.
Clarence McKee, Ned Ryan, thank you both for your time today. Really do appreciate it.